Hey guys, come on in, come on in. It is Thursday, 12 o'clock. From 12 to 12:15, we are going to do our next session of lunch and launch. Come on, guys, come on in, come on in. We are doing our sessions on lunch and launch, and this session is about soul care. We talked about it a little bit last Thursday, but I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into it. So we are going to pin something in the chat that I think is going to, help us get calibrated, help us, for the rest of the week. I love these quick little tidbits. I said on Facebook or one of those platforms that it's sort of like a mini revival. It is something to help you launch deeper, launch further. And my motto is that I want to help you build the business and the life that not only you've prayed for, you've dreamed of, but that you hoped for as well. So come on in, guys. We are going to talk about soul care, and it is really about the fight for your soul. So again, we only have 15 minutes. If you catch this in the middle or you catch it late, you can always catch the replay. But I just want to be a good steward to your time because I know that you guys have a lot going on and are extremely busy. So we are going to talk about soul care. And, I really want to break it down because a lot of people don't realize that the soul is the combination of your mind, your will, your emotions, and your imagination. So I really want you guys to hear that. Your soul is comprised of your mind, your will, your emotions, and your imagination. So we know that Satan attacks the soul. He doesn't attack our finances. Satan doesn't care about what you have in the bank. I just want to let you know, a lot of us, our car will break down or we'll have car trouble before we go into church. And we're like, the enemy wants my car. The enemy's after me because he messed up my car. Let me tell you, Satan is not after your car. Satan is not even after your marriage. Don't say, Satan wants my husband. Well, I don't think Satan wants the husband or the wife. Satan is after your soul. Because if he can use your husband, your wife, if he can use your finances, if he can use your situations, what he wants to do is get after your soul, because he knows that if he can get after your soul, that is the part of you that is your mind, your will, your imaginations. So all through the Bible, it talks about the war of the mind, that we don't wrestle against flesh and blood, but we wrestle against principalities, rulers in darkness. So the enemy is not after the stuff. He's not after the things in the physical. He just uses that stuff. But the bottom line is that he is after the soul, because he knows that if he can destroy the soul, and again, if he can mess with your mind, right? If he can mess with your will, if he can mess with your emotions, if he can mess with your imagination, then he can stop you from launching deeper. He can stop you from operating in your purpose, in your calling, in that thing that God has placed in your hands. That he doesn't have to attack. He doesn't have to be like, come on and attack your mind. But what he can do is he can mess with your relationships, right? He can mess with what happened in your childhood, because he understands that if I mess with those things are going to mess with the person's mind, their will, their thoughts, and their imagination. I want to slow down. I have 15 minutes, but this is so important, guys, for us to recognize how the enemy fights. Because if we don't understand how the adversary fights, we can't defeat the enemy. Because we'll be praying for stuff that's not even, relevant to how the enemy is fighting. If you look at how wars are won, there's a strategy behind it. So if we start to understand that I'm in a relationship, right? And Satan knows that if I mess with you through this relationship, that I can get your mind, I can get your will, I can get your emotions so off kiltered that you won't work and walk in your purpose. Because that is what he is designed to do. That is what he is designed to do. He is after your soul. So let's just, if we don't learn anything today from this lunch and launch, let's learn this one thing. Satan is after your soul. He's not after your finances. He's not after your relationships. He's not after your money. He is after your emotions. He wants you to get so all out of kilter that you're so discombobulated that you're spending more time dealing with your emotions. You're up here, you're down here. That by the time you have exhausted all of your mental power on your emotions, you don't have the time to work on that thing that God has given you. So that is the first thing, is just being aware of how the enemy fights. The enemy is going to fight you because he's trying to stop your mind, your will, your emotions, your imagination. So you may hear some background noise, and I apologize to you for that. There are some people doing some work, but I know that this is a word that the enemy does not want for you to get. It is so important that you understand the tactics and the warfare and the strategy of how the enemy works, right? So I want to talk a little bit about 3 things that we can do to protect our soul. Right? Because if we understand that the enemy is coming after us, right? He is trying to, again, I'm going to keep saying this until you get it, that he is after your mind. He is after your thoughts. He is after your emotions. And when we talk about emotions, that's your peace, that's your happiness, that's your joy, right? That's your emotions, your will, your will to do what God has called you to do. If he can destroy that, he can cause you to be in a stagnant place where you don't operate and you don't move in your purpose. There are some of us that have been talking about things that God has shown them and things that we know we're supposed to do. And it's been year after year after year. So it's not like the enemy's coming down saying, okay, I'm going to block you from writing the book. I'm going to block you from starting the business. I'm going to block you from starting the nonprofit. It's not that he's coming down to do that. But what he'll do is he'll have you so wrapped up emotionally. He'll take your peace. He'll take your joy that you won't be able to operate in that place that God has called you to operate in. So I want to give you 3 things to take away in this last 5 minutes that can help you protect your soul. The first thing that you have to do is you have to have guardrails or boundaries, right? You have to do what it takes. I talked last week about sacred rituals. You have to put up guardrails and boundaries to protect your will, your emotions, right? your imagination, your peace, your happiness. Those things comprise your soul. So you have to purposely put up guardrails. I mean, you know, if you talk to this person, and every time you talk to that person, you get off the phone, you feel depressed, you feel your self-esteem is destroyed, you're questioning who you are. Put the guardrail up, put the boundary up. Because if someone is stealing your peace, if someone is stealing your emotions, if someone is coming after your will, then it is up to you to protect that. Because what you have to say is, you know what? I know when I talk to this person, it is affecting my emotions. I know when I talk to this person, it's something that happens in my mind. I get depressed. I feel, I have an issue when I get off the phone with this person. Then you have to set guardrails and boundaries up to protect that. If you if Satan is using the fact that you've been saying you want to lose weight or you want to do things to feel healthier, and you know that if you go to the store and you buy a bunch of cookies, or you go to this restaurant, or if you don't food prep, you don't do that thing, then you're going to go maybe eat the things that you don't want to eat. Satan doesn't care about that. But what he cares about is how you feel after you've done it. You feel guilty. You feel like, wow, why can't I get a handle of that? Why can't I do better with that? See, as long as he can keep you in that place, he doesn't have to worry about you. So he doesn't have to, come after that, your peace. He'll just use someone or something to come after your peace, because he knows that if you have not properly built boundaries, that if you have not properly put up guardrails, then the enemy can come straight in after your soul. The second thing that you have to do is you have to confront the root of it. We have to stop saying the enemy's after this, the enemy's after that. We have to understand that the enemy is after your soul. You have to find out, what is that thing that the enemy is using to come after my soul? And people, I want you to look at this. So let's look at the fact that when you were younger, you had a teacher that said, or a person, it could be in your family, it could be your teacher, that said, you can't do this. You're not good enough to do that, right? What that does is that creates a thought, right? And from that thought, a behavior happens. So this is what the enemy does. For most of us, the enemy has come after us when we were younger, when we were in those formative years. Someone has said or done something to us. And then because of that, thoughts have happened. I'm not good enough. I can't do that. It's too hard. I don't have the support. I'm the black sheep of the family. It's just something about me. People don't like me. And that's the reason that in the Word of God, it talks about taking those thoughts captive. Because if you don't take those thoughts captive, then the enemy has then started a process to destroy your soul. Because he knows that if you don't take those thoughts captive, then those thoughts are going to start to create a behavior. And that behavior is not in alignment with who and what God called you to be. So he's tricky, but if we understand how he fights, when an event happens, it's a real event. We're not saying you got to deny that you went through what you went through. But the thoughts that come out of that is what God has told us. Take captive of those things. Take captive of those thoughts, right? And because if we take captive of those thoughts, then the enemy can't control our behavior and come after our soul. The third thing that we must do in this last minute is that we must recognize self-sabotage. Let me tell you what self-sabotage is. Self-sabotage is that for some reason you were always told that either money was bad, that you can't make money, all you've seen were people in poverty, all you've seen were people that struggled, right? You've seen that. You've seen that. And now you're walking in, I'm walking in my purpose, I'm walking in my calling. But what happens is that thought that we haven't taken captive of will cause us to do things subconsciously to make us make bad money decisions, make us connect with people that can destroy our finances, will make us make bad investment decisions. So that thing that we haven't taken captive of will come out in the stuff that we do, in our behavior, in our choices. So I just want to leave you with this. I know, I'm not sure, and I'm hoping that you got this, because there's so much that I want to unpack as far as soul care, and 15 minutes is very difficult to do that. But I want you to type in the chat before you leave this, why are you stopping you? Why are you stopping you? Stop allowing the enemy to destroy and come after your soul. You have to protect your soul. Whatever you do, you can go out here and you can build this great business. You can go out here and you can do all these great things. But if the enemy is attacking your soul, you can do all the great things and you'll sit back and you'll still be unhappy. People can tell you you're the greatest thing since sliced bread, and you'll sit in your house when you're all alone and you'll still feel less than. You'll still feel like you'll still battle your self-esteem. So, recognize those three things, guys. Recognize that you must set up guardrails. You must confront the root of the problem, and you must recognize when you are stopping yourself. No more of that. Now, lastly, I want you guys to make sure you are checking your emails. Make sure you are locked in and following us on launchingdeeper.com. Please share this. January is the weekend of, I think it's like the 12th and the 13th. It is a Friday and Saturday this January. We are doing our first Soul Experience Retreat. We're going to do mastermind session. It is an overnight. We're going to work on dealing with those stony parts of the heart. We're going to work on silence and meditation. We are going to talk about manifestation and faith, because in order to launch deeper, we've got to deal with that stuff first. So when you leave, your 24 is not going to be your 23 and you're 22. So look out for that. Again, follow, share, like us, guys. Continue to spread the word. And again, we want to launch deep. I see you at our Soul Care Experience 2024 right here, and we're having a great retreat, so you'll get all the details, but make sure you're connected so that you can get those details, and we have limited slots, so we want to make sure that you're part of it. Soul Experience 2024, the Soul Retreat. All right, guys, you have a great day. Thank you again for joining in. Love you. And again, as always, continue to launch deeper.